What's going on? Welcome to the LESHHHGO Podcast. So today's podcast is going to be a little bit different. Obviously, you can already tell if you're watching, I've not got Decky Do here with us today, and I'm not in the Leicester Podcast studio. But don't worry, over the next few weeks, I will be jumping back in there. It's just this episode is going to be a bit different. Obviously, it's my first solo episode. A little bit nervous, to be honest with y'all, but it's going to be different in the way is, whenever I'm doing a solo podcast now, I want to be able to provide you guys with some information that's going to be able to help you improve your lifestyle in some type of way. But before I get into all the educational stuff and things like that, what I wanted to let you know is a little bit about my story and where I've came from the seshhead that I used to be to the person that I am now, the guy that's sober. I've been sober for over a year off drugs and off the alcohol for about 8 months. And I don't feel like I'm going to go back to that lifestyle anytime soon. To be fair, definitely not on the drugs. Alcohol, I'm not too sure about. But I want you to know I am not one of these people that is gone all against the sesh now, and I hate everything about it because I don't. I've had so many good times in my life on the sesh. I've had so many good experiences of it, and it's always got a place in my heart because I've had just so many good times when it comes down to the festivals, the culture, the dancing in the raves, and all that kind of stuff. Grabbing some random cunt saying you love them. It's uncomparable, the kind of energy at them kind of places and what you get from the drugs, obviously. But it does come a point in your life where you feel like you need to change and start a new chapter. And that's where I was at, because it was getting to the point for me. My mental health was taking a hit. I was kind of spiraling out of control. And I knew I was spiraling out of control. But luckily enough for me, I had the discipline from earlier ages, which I'm going to talk about, to actually pull myself out of there and remove myself from certain situations. But yeah, there's going to be the bad, the good, and then the aftermath, I guess, which is me getting sober. So I don't know how many episodes I'm going to be talking over this, but yeah, I feel like let's just crack on with it. Starting off about me, I guess. So let's go. I started off, so where it all started for me when it came down to the drugs and the alcohol is when I was a kid in school. So when we went to, not primary school, obviously it's a bit intense, but well, even people might think it's intense for secondary school, but yeah, anyway, from the ages of 12 onwards up to around about 16, I always used to be going out and drinking. That's what it used to be, drinking down the park or going to house parties. But early doors, it was always down the park, and we'd be in school and everyone would be in school. And from as soon as you get to secondary school, it's all everyone's talking about. From like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it's all everyone would talk about, like, you're going down the park tonight, or you're going around so-and-so's. And what had happened is we would literally finish school on the Friday. We'd go down to the shops. I mean, we'll finish school on the Friday. We'd go home, get ready to go out, get the £5 off the mum or dad, depending who's giving them the dinner money. And then you'll go to the shops and you'll get yourself a £5 bottle of vodka. You wait outside the shop for like an hour for someone to go in for you, the Good Samaritan, whoever it was that day. And they'd go in the shop for you, get you your £5 bottle of vodka, go off on 10 Mayfair, because 10 Mayfair used to go off back in the day. Whatever happened to 10 Mayfairs? Not that I smoke anymore, but yeah. And then you'd end up making your way down the park, and there'd be about 10, 20, 30, I think one day we got about 60 people down the park for someone's birthday. And yeah, you just get pissed up and have a good time, cause havoc, trying to get with birds and yeah, other things, you know what I mean? Causing havoc on the park. And it got to obviously get to around about 10 o'clock at night, and then you get pissed up, and then you get yourself sober because you get yourself prepared to go home. And then you go home and you go into the house and you see your mum and you see your dad, and you be like, right, I'll see you in a bit, I'm going to bed. Do you know what I mean? Like you try and compose yourself to get sobered up. But honestly, I don't even understand how my parents didn't click on, because when I used to walk through the door, it used to be one of them ones. I used to come in like, you're right, and then quickly run upstairs. I don't know, I guess I was just maybe a mongy teenager and they just thought I was always a big mong, to be honest with you. That's what might have been it. But yeah, that's what we'd end up doing from the ages of like 12 to 16. But around about 14, weed got introduced to me. I started smoking weed. The first ever time I smoked a joint actually was with Decky Do, would believe it or not, which is crazy. He got me stoned for the first time, and I'm not even lying, I pulled the biggest whitey I've ever pulled in my life. I mean, it spanned my head out. I've never felt anything like it. It was a horrible experience, but for some reason, I just carried on doing it. I just kept doing it and doing it and doing it. And that was my thing. Like when I'd smoke weed after school, always smoke weed after school, sometimes in school, but always smoke weed after school, and then I'd get pissed up at the weekends. And that would be my cycle, and that would be my life. And at this point as well, I was playing football quite a bit. I was quite good at football. I'm not going to say I was fucking Premier League greatness, waiting for greatness legendary status. I was far from that, but I was playing at a decent level. I used to play for a few academies, and I remember once, like, this is the stage when I used to get pissed up all the time. I'd be like 15 years old, 16 years old maybe, and I went to a football tournament. My dad had a barbecue the night before, and I thought it was a good idea. My dad was obviously hungover in bed because he drank too much the night before, which wasn't the usual case anyway. My dad always used to take me football. It was just this one-off that we had this barbecue, and he couldn't take me. He was being a responsible adult. That's what he was being. But I ended up getting one of my mates' dads to pick me up for the tournament. And there was beers around. Well, I knew where my dad hid the beers and kept the beers and that lot. So I thought it'd be a good idea to take like 5 beers to the football. Bearing in mind, I'm 16 years old, and I've took these beers to the football. And what you need to know about me is I'm a class clown. I like being the performing monkey. I like being like the center of attention when it came down to that kind of thing. And yeah, that's kind of what I did. And I got pissed up at this football tournament. And what was crazy about it, I had Leicester City was watching me this tournament. I had a few lads come up to me saying Leicester City were watching me at the tournament. And I was steaming. I was steaming from the night before anyway, because I had a few beers. Obviously, my dad let me have a few beers in the house and that lot. And then it just trickled on effect. And I was steaming at this tournament, letting like 4 goals. Terrible. Leicester didn't come knocking at that door. I promise you that right now. But yeah, and then obviously I got home, got a bollocking for that, got grounded for that. That was a sound one. But yeah, so that was basically what I used to get up to. And then around about 16 years old, 2 of my boys, really good fucking friends, Tyler Clacy, Spen Edwards, them 2 boys fucking took me to the gym for the first time. It's called Warehouse Gym, and it was on Parker Drive. If anyone used to know the old Warehouse Gym in Leicester, the sickest gym. I don't know where they're at the minute, but such a good gym to go to. And I was in there, and I remember the first ever time I picked up a weight, and it was like 2.5 kilos or something like that. 2.5 kilos. And I was curling, and my arms, I'm telling you, my arms next day, I used to work at KFC at this point, and my arms, I couldn't even pick up the chicken to put it back in the, the box. It was a fucking nightmare, honestly. But that was my first experience of the gym, and I'm telling you now, I got hooked on it instantly. I was constantly going to the gym, constantly trying to improve myself, building up the discipline, building up routines, building up knowledge about what to eat, what not to eat, just so I could grow and obviously put on the muscle that I wanted to do. So it was a good stage. But at this point, I was still going out and getting fucked up, and I was still smoking weed, and I was still partying and that lot. So it wasn't my main focus. My main focus was still obviously going out and enjoying myself at the weekends. But I realised that it's something that I really wanted to do with myself. So I decided to enroll in college. I was still working at KFC. I knew that weren't going to be a lifelong job. And I was still working at a fashion shop in Leicester called Pilot. But yeah, I was working there for a while, and I was working long hours. I was doing like 40, 45 hour, 50 hour weeks and that lot for a fucking 16-year-old, a long time. And I was getting paid £3.68 an hour, but I realised that fitness is something that I really wanted to go into. So I decided to go to college and get my level 2 fitness instructing qualification. Ended up getting that, and I decided to go to every single gym in the fucking area, every gym I could go to. We ended up trekking all around, printing off CVs, handing out CVs, and none of them wanted like fitness instructors just because they weren't fully qualified to make the gym any money. They wanted personal trainers. And I remember going into Nuffield Health, and they were like, right, we can take you on, but we need you to provide something for us because we can't just have you on the gym floor not earning any money. They were like, go get your lifeguarding badge, come back, and we'll give you a job as a lifeguard. Within the month, I got my lifeguarding badge, and I was straight back on there, poolside, and they gave me a job straight away, 40 hours a week. I quit both my other jobs. It was the happiest day ever because obviously I didn't have to work in KFC no more. I didn't have to work in Pilot as well, which was the fashion shop I worked in, the retail shop. And I was just like, yeah, this is blessed. This is great. I'm finally pursuing what I wanted to do. Still enjoying life, still going out and getting pissed up and fucked up a lot. But they ended up putting me on to my level 3 personal training, which was, yeah, a godsend. I've got so much time for the people at Nuffield Health, well, the people who worked there at the time, because they put me on so much. Like, they helped me develop so much when it come down to fitness and obviously becoming a better personal trainer and put me on certain courses. So yeah, I have a lot of time for the people that work there at Nuffield Health and sent me in the right direction. Yet I still managed to fall off a little bit. But yeah, that's what I used to do. And then when I was around about 16, 17, like I was saying, I ended up moving in with my auntie Karen. So one week she asked me to look after her dog because she was going on holiday. And then she was like to me, listen, I'm going on a few more holidays. Do you want to move into the house while I go on holidays? And I was like 17 years old, and I was like, yes, I fucking do. And I mean, if anyone needs anyone in their life, they need an Auntie Karen, all right? And I'm not talking about these Karens that fucking cause drama over silly parking spot shit and moan about anything. You need an Auntie Karen that is there for you and can sort you out, because she didn't need to do any of the things that she's done for me in my life, and currently still now she's supported me in what I'm doing, and she's the biggest godsend ever. I love my parents to pieces, but Karen is like my other mum, and I mean, she is the best person that I could ever ask for. I mean, in every other way. And I mean, I'm going to plug it right now. If anyone needs any Botox, any wrinkles on their foreheads and in the side of their eyes and on the cheeks and shit, go see my Auntie Kaz, because she is the one, basically. And yeah, she, like I say, she's just supported me in every step of the way that I've been on in my journey, and telling me to go traveling and things like that. Even my mum's told me to go traveling as well. But yeah, I ended up moving there. And that stage of my life, from the ages of like 17 to 19, obviously I got my dream job. I'm like working up to become a personal trainer. I ended up becoming a personal trainer, but I was still, I know I keep saying it, but I was still smoking weed, and smoking weed a lot, to the point that I'd isolate myself and I wouldn't be social anymore. And it got to the point for me, I was just smoking weed because I just wanted to. I was home alone at these times. These times I was at home alone. Karen would be on holiday, but I was home alone, and I'd just be smoking weed just to do something, or get my mind away from obviously just work or whatever it was. You know how it is. Like, a lot of people will be smoking weed who listen to this, and they'd understand, like, you know, after a day's work, they just want to switch off and just mong out of the TV. And weed is a perfect thing for that. But for me, I was by myself. I was only like 17, 18, 19, and it was a pretty lonesome life. You know what I mean? I was just sitting in, watching TV, eating food, and yeah, it was pretty lonely. But at the same time, it was good to have the freedom. I'm not slagging it off, saying it was shit. It was just, yeah, it was tough. I had to learn to obviously be by myself, which helped me out in further life when I obviously went traveling by myself and things like that. But yeah, that stage of my life was a bit ooh-ah. But anyway, I was like 19 years old, started working as a personal trainer, and then I ended up having a client one day, and one of the managers came in and started going crazy at me. And it wasn't even one of the managers, it was just someone who was duty manager for that day. There was like someone in sales, and they came in and went crazy at me. And I was like, what the fuck's going on here? I was like, fuck's staying at this job. But they did it in front of a client. It was so unprofessional, and I was just standing there like, what is going on? Anyway, I don't really want to get into that too much. I just had a shit day at work. And with this shit day at work, I literally went home and I was like, right, I am going somewhere else other than this shithole. And I was looking for jobs, and I weren't just looking for jobs in Leicester. I was looking for jobs all over the world. Because my passion, more than anything, as well as well, I wouldn't say my passion, I'd say more it was my dream. You know, my mum always passed it on to me. She was like, you should definitely go traveling, you should go do the things, go see things. Because my mum used to live in America for a little bit. She used to do babysitting out in America. If you've ever watched White Chicks, she used to babysit one of the actors. I'm fucking name dropping to fuck here. She used to babysit the chief from White Chicks' kids. Yeah, and I ended up meeting him one time. He was pretty cool, to be fair. But anyway, that's a sidetrack of a story. But my mum passed the torch on to me. She was like, you should definitely go traveling, go see the world. It's something you should do. Obviously, there's more to life than being here. So that's always been in my head and put in my head as a young kid. And even my auntie and that lot, they were always trying to egg me on to go traveling. So anyway, I had this shit day at work. I've gone home from work. I'm sitting at home. I'm applying for these jobs. I end up getting 2 interviews, one for Princess Cruises it was, and one for Tui Thompson at the time it was. And both the interviews were on the same day. I was absolutely gutted. But I decided, instead of going for the one on the cruise ships, I decided to go for the TUI one, because it was 6 months on, 6 months off. And I heard a lot of shit about cruise ship jobs as well. Like, they would just work you to a pulp, basically. So I was like, right, let's go for it. So I went there, did the interview. I had to do a class. I had to do a PT class, a PT session, and then just let them know about some nutrition. Anyway, did that, came back. I didn't hear anything from them for like 4 months. And I was like, this is shit. Like, I was so gutted. I was heartbroken. I was sure I was going to get it. I bossed the interview. I thought it was great. Loved everything about the company. And then I decided to, I didn't decide to, sorry. I was PTing a client, just giving him a chest press. I never forget it. And I got the phone call through, and I looked at it, and I seen the name, and I was like, I said to my client, I was like, can I go check this call? And he was like, yeah, all right then, no problem. And I've answered it, and he was like, Spence, sorry to get so long to get back to you, but we've been shuffling things around, and they gave you 3 options. Where did you want to go? And I chose Crete, Cyprus, and Mexico. They have them all over the world, but they're the ones I picked. And they were like, sorry, we don't have no availability for your job, the choices that you went to. They were like, but we do have a availability coming up in April. This must have been in like January or something like that. In April, I thought, okay. And they were like, it's in Ibiza. And I'm like, what? 19 years old in Ibiza. I was like, let's go. You know what I mean? I was buzzing. It was like the happiest day of my life. I couldn't believe it. Obviously, I finished up with a client. I ran downstairs. I whacked my... It was like another 4 months until the contract started. I whacked my resignation on the table, my letter to leave. I was like, I'm leaving in 4 months. So yeah, I was buzzing. It was like the happiest day of my life. I'm smiling thinking about it now. Just I was so like, I don't even know. I was just proud of myself. You know what I mean? It was one of them things. Obviously taking that next step and obviously trying to better myself and improve myself. And obviously I was moving in the right direction to do that. And anyway, it got down to going, and yeah, I ended up leaving there. And I promise you now, the first 6 weeks of me getting there was dreadful. It was horrible. I hated every bit of it, you know. Nothing can prepare you for, like I say, your first time traveling. You don't know anything. As much as people want to tell you, you might see these Instagram posts. At that time, Instagram weren't really even about. But you see these Instagram posts and these Facebook posts telling you about what to do and this, that, and the other. It's your own story. You can't compare it to someone else's. You can obviously take tips and advice and that lot, but you get in situations that you'll never think you'd ever be in. You know what I mean? So that's what it was like for me. And that's basically where I was in Ibiza. And I always say to people as well, wherever you go and whatever you do, always give it 6 to 8 weeks wherever you go, because your body, your mind has to adapt to whatever you're putting yourself in, whether it's your routine, whether it's to change a job, change of environment. There's so much factors to go into it. Do not judge a place on the first week of you being there, because it's just, yeah, it'll change. I promise you that right now. So for me, first 6 weeks I was there, I absolutely hated it. And then I was just focusing on work. That's the thing. I went there and I was like, right, I'm just going to focus in. This can lead into a proper career. And then I'm just going to really dial in on this and make a thing about it. And it got 6 weeks in, and then I was like, right, fuck this. I got paid, and I was like, I'm going out, I'm getting drunk, I'm getting fucked up. And that's what I did. And I enjoyed it. And I met some people, and I met a group of mates, and we started clicking, and we started going out with each other and having a good time. But at this point, what you need to know is, I was never big on drugs. I was never big on no hardcore drugs anyway, like ecstasy, coke, care, all that kind of stuff. I wasn't into it at all. So after a few weeks of me going out and having a good time, I ended up going to Amnesia for the first time. And I was like, right, I'm ready to take a pill. I'm going to have a pill. Typical. I took a pill in Ibiza. Mike Posner, what a fucking guy. So I did that. And then from there, I didn't really feel anything for like 15 minutes. I'm in Amnesia. I didn't really feel anything for 15 minutes. I'm bopping around. I didn't know how long it was to kick in anyway. So I've turned to one of my mates and went, listen, I've not really felt this pill. And they were like, how long ago did you take it? I lied, and I said 45 minutes. What a big mistake that was. She was like, yeah, just have another one. So I've cracked another one. Within 10 minutes of me dropping that other one, I'm in the club, and I'm next to the speaker that's about 6 feet tall, and I felt the bass smack my leg, and it rippled all throughout my body. And I don't know if anyone who's listening has tried ecstasy before, but no one can describe how good that feeling was as soon as it hits, and that first experience on it. I mean, it hit me and I was like, whoa, what is that? And then for the next 15 minutes, after the first 5 minutes went by, the next 15 minutes, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to fucking die. This is horrible. Like, how am I going to carry on? How am I going to carry on the rest of the night like this up? And that's obviously because I fucking double dropped like an idiot. But yeah, anyway, after like 10, 15 minutes of that going by, I was like bopping around, having a great time, having a good time in Ibiza, and yeah, that was just a crazy experience. But then like 3-4 weeks after that, I was teaching aqua aerobics. By the way, I've not even told you about the job that I was doing in Ibiza. So I was a personal trainer, basically sports coordinator. I had to do like all the sports activities such as tennis, aqua aerobics, archery, classes, PTing. And I remember this one guy, this one bloke, he was like knocking around the tennis ball and that lot. Our job was just basically keep people entertained kind of thing. And I must have been out on a mad bender until like 6, 7 in the morning. And he's like, oh yeah, do you mind playing tennis with us? I was like, yeah, I do, but I've got to do it anyway. It's my job, innit? So I'm knocking this tennis ball around me. He's like, you ever played before? I was like, no. And then he just started throwing me about the court. And I was like, oh my God. Ended up spewing up. It was the worst thing ever. And then, there was another time where I was teaching aqua aerobics, and this was tough. So I'm teaching aqua aerobics, doing my thing. I used to get so many people in that aqua aerobic pool. It was crazy. I think the most had in there one time was like 70 people. Not even joking. All old bitches, absolutely loving it. We had a load of Susans, loads of Carols, loads of Margarets, absolutely having the time of their lives. But anyway, I got pulled off poolside once, and they were like, right, can you come down to the office, please? I was like, oh, okay. I didn't really know what it was about. It was mid-class as well. Gone down there and sat me down in the office. I was like, Spencer, we've had a statement come through saying that you've been doing drugs. And I was like, what? What do you mean doing drugs? I can't, what do you mean? I'm in fitness. I don't do drugs. I'm all about health and fitness. You know what I mean? So, completely, they were like, right, so we need you to go take a drug test. We've got this statement here saying that you've done it with so-and-so. Well, I didn't say so-and-so, with some people, X, Y, Z. Didn't give me no information. And I was like, shit. I rang my mum up and I was like, I've got to go do a drug test. I'm shit myself. What do I do? She was like, just drink loads of water. You'll be fine. And sent me on my way. And then I seen one of my mates and he was like, oh, you know what you need to do? He was like, you need to neck half a glass of vinegar. Me, the 19-year-old that I was, I didn't know no fucking better. I was like, that sounds like a great idea. Anything that I can do to stay in Ibiza, because at this point I was fucking loving life. Do you know what I mean? So I was like, yeah, I'll do it. I'll neck this half glass of vinegar. And then I ended up spewing up everywhere. And it was just a tough old time. Drank a load of water, diluted my system, went in to do the test, did the test, came out, chilling by poolside, having the time of my life. And, not having the time of my life. I was fucking nervous because I thought I was going home. And I rang up the clinic and I was like, listen, what did the test come back as? And they were like, oh, it came back negative. You've got nothing in my system. I'm not even joking. There was about 20 people there. Everyone started celebrating, having the time of their lives. And we ended up going out that night and went amnesia. We spent a few nights in amnesia, to be fair. Ushuaia was quality. Sankey's dirty place to be going to. Love it in there. But yeah, that's another conversation of other things. But anyway, we parted. I've gone in the next day about 10 o'clock in the morning with a massive smile on my face, a little bit of a come down. You don't really get come downs when you're like 19 years old, to be honest with you. I was flying. I was going out from like 7 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock in the morning and starting work at night. You know what I mean? But yeah, I was flying, living it up. I got into the office and they were like, yeah, so you got anything to tell us? I was like, nope. And they were like, right, so we've had your test come back. It came back negative, so you can keep your job. And they slid the statement across the room to me, and I've looked at it. And this guy who it was, he ended up grassing on 20 people in Thompson, okay? They found 10 grams of coke underneath his bed or something like that. And he started grassing on everyone. This cunt said everything. He was like, he named the number of the room that we were in, the hotel room, where we did it, who was there, what table we did it on, where we were all standing. This dude couldn't have grassed any more if he wanted to. This is why I despise Americans from that moment on. His name was Sid. Say no more. How can you be taken seriously if your name's Sid? I'm sorry for being judgmental, but fuck. That dude almost ruined my life. Anyway, I've ended up getting away with it. 20 people got pulled in. 18 people owned up to it. 2 people didn't. And the 2 people that didn't own up to it was me and the other guy I was in the room with getting on it. So innocent until proven guilty. But yeah, that was pretty much Ibiza. And then I ended up having the time of my life. I felt untouchable out there, to be honest with you, after that, because they didn't really want to come near me because they wanted to get rid of me because they knew I was doing drugs, but they couldn't prove it. So it was one of them ones. It was like, oh, like, so yeah, I had a best time of my life after that. And then I didn't end up going into work one day because it was coming towards the end of the season. It was raining and it was a bit of a tough day. And my manager ended up leaving without telling anyone. And he shot me in the foot because he didn't tell anyone. And he's left, and it was meant to be my day off, and I've had a day off. And next thing you know, all hell's broke loose. All the managers have ended up one of the managers ended up coming around my house and saying, well, you're meant to be in work today. Where's Matt? Did this, that, and the other. He ended up fucking off. I ended up getting sacked, and the rest of the season was finished for me. So my whole summer just finished like that. 6 months in Ibiza just finished. I was expecting to go to like Crete or Greece after this, you know what I mean? Do a little trip somewhere. But like I say, I lost my job and that was it. I had to take it. But let's be honest, I was probably going out 3-4 times a week. My manager ended up sorting it out for us that we only had to work fucking 3-4 times a week. So the other days we were just out having a good time. We were meant to work 6 days a week. It ended up getting worked out all right. So yeah, that was pretty much it. That's probably why they wanted to get rid of me. And they had the right to it, but at this point, I didn't really care. I was having the best time of my life out in Ibiza. This is what I'm talking about, the good. The good was good. But yeah, I ended up losing 3 stone in Ibiza in total. And on the way home, I've gone home. Mum's opened the door, 4 o'clock in the morning, gave her a love and a kiss. I sat down on the floor and I was like, I sat down in the kitchen, cracked open a beer like a weirdo. And I was like, fuck, what do I do now? I'm lost as fuck. I saved up a bit of money and I was like, fuck it. I'm going to book a flight to Asia. I think, you know what? I think I'm going to leave it on that one. I think, yeah, my battery's about to die on my camera as well, so I'm sweating a little bit. Yeah, I think we should leave it on that, to be fair. It was a good little chat, to be honest with you. I mean, if you are not already, like, comment and subscribe. If you've got any questions about anything, feel free to message me. I know I am still talking about the sesh, but I promise you right now, it's not all good times. It does get a little bit worse. And like I say, I'll be talking about the good. I'll also be talking about the bad. And then I'll be talking about the aftermath. And I know I've repeated that, but listen, you can't have the good without the bad at the end of the day. And yeah, right now we're in the good zone. So I feel like we should leave it on a good zone and maybe dip into it on a part 2. So yeah, like I say, if you've not already, like, comment, subscribe, and do your thing. LESHHGO.